Welcome to the Clean Truth, where we like to call bullshit on the status quo. What's up? Welcome back to the Clean Truth. I'm Don. I'm your host. Full crew again.
We're back.
No Red.
See you later.
We invited her.
She was invited, and
No, I got
attest to
better
that.
things to do than to sit on a podcast.
You snooze, you lose.
Just remember that the next time that she's complaining about how she's never been invited back on the podcast. She's too cool. She's got too
Exactly.
much shit to do. All right. Well, I'm gonna kind of rotate the way that I normally do things. Usually we go right into busting somebody's balls over something, but I'm gonna segue that in here in a minute. So the first thing I want to talk about is these new flavors of Rain and Monster Energy that Miss Brett Bauer sent us.
cheers.
Jeez, these are good.
Very
The
impressed.
white gummy bear.
Mm.
What do you think that tastes like? You think it really tastes like gummy bears?
It smells like it. It really does. But it's pretty close.
That watermelon monster there ain't no joke either.
This is pretty intense. I was trying to remember back when was the last time that I had a white gummy bear, because like I would always like save that one for like the last.
A white gummy bear?
Yeah, the clear one. I think that's what it's referring to, right?
It more of just kind of reminds me of gummy bears. Like,
Yeah, good point.
Huh.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brett, thank you as always. We got a new shipment in yesterday, and we opened the boxes up, and surprise, there was like 4 or 5 new flavors in there. It was pretty awesome.
Fantastic.
So, all right, I put a little thing out for a Clean Truth this week before the podcast, and I got a pretty good one that I think would kind of segue into the topic that we're going to talk about. And somebody asked, what supplements are you taking right now? I'll go first.
Yeah.
Basically, it's going to sound like I'm taking a lot, but I'm really not. It's kind of like a pack deal. But right now, the time of year it is, I'm loading up on vitamin C. So a lot of vitamin C, a lot of D3, obviously just an isolate. I'm not big on over-the-counter supplements. Everybody was like, well, man, you were a bodybuilder. I've taken every over-the-counter supplement you can possibly pretty much fucking dream of.
Right.
I've taken everybody's proteins, everybody's pre-workouts, everybody's L-carnitine supplements, BCAAs. If you name it, I've had it out there, and to me, it's all expensive piss. So as I've gotten older and more educated and more wise, the wellness supplements, to me, are always the best ones. The ones that are going to have the vitamins and minerals in it that your body's actually going to use. So, of course, protein after workouts. I've been doing more pre-workout than what I normally do lately, just because my life is in chaos at the moment outside the office. We're going through a home remodel. Farm driveway got flooded out, so like need a little pick me up.
Needs the boost.
You know what I mean? So normally I don't like to do a lot of pre-workout, but a lot of the wellness supplements, multivitamin packs, omegas, the stuff that comes in those vitamin packs. Other than that, man, I don't really do a whole lot.
So how many supplements is Don taking? Scott, did you keep count right there?
I lost count.
Yeah, me too.
I told you it was going to sound like I'm taking a lot, but it's
So
not.
how many? Protein, vitamin C,
D3.
3.
First form's full mega, so
4.
and omega 3. What else? Zinc and magnesium. That's a 1 pill. So
5.
So are you taking a multivitamin or are you taking individual vitamins?
I take them as individuals, and if I can't do that, if I'm not at home, I always have First Form's the microfactor vitamin packs on me in my bag. So you don't get the full dose of what I take individually.
Right.
So basically everything that's in those little vitamin packs, I take them individually. So I get a higher amount.
So keep going. Any reds and greens these days?
I haven't because I haven't been home.
Okay.
And that stuff for me is just a pain in the ass to travel with.
So 5.
Normally I would mix my reds and greens with my post-workout shake. So I was not like constantly making up some sort of fucking shake all the time.
Got it. I'm reds and greens inside the protein shake post-workout. And outside of that, I've dabbled with the Thorn multivitamin that we just got given this past weekend. So I'm giving that a try. Never taken a morning and nighttime multivitamin, so we'll see how I feel with this. But
Do you take them in the morning or at night?
so it's that 2. I don't know if you opened that box, but it's a morning 3 pill and then it's a nighttime 3 pill.
Oh, I haven't opened it yet.
Yeah. So giving that a try.
I usually try to take my stuff at night before I go to bed.
But
so
again,
it's in my body the whole night.
Very similar to what you said. Like, I've kind of strayed away from pre-workouts, and I even train in the morning. So some kind of caffeine, but it's not been a pre-workout. And, yeah, just a lot of vitamins and minerals, pretty much, protein, and taking care of the digestion.
We don't even have to ask you, Scott. It's just black coffee.
Well, okay, come on. I do take a multivitamin, and I do vitamin C and vitamin D, and that's it.
Are those all pills or any of those liquid vitamins?
Actually, the multivitamins are gummies, but that's fine.
Oh.
Are you serious?
I figure the camera guy takes gummies.
I wonder if they're Flintstones.
Are you gummies?
No, if they're a Flintstone, they'd be little chewy ones. You know what I mean? Different, totally different.
I'm going to need to see these gummies.
They're from Costco.
Anyway, all right, the topic today. So I had this idea to do this podcast this morning, actually, when we were training. And the reason is, now I'm going to bust your balls for just a second.
Yep.
But I'm busting your balls, but in an educational manner, I guess is a good way to describe that. So we were training this morning, and I think you and Seth were kind of doing my workout with the strength program that we're doing on We Change Lives. And it was shoulder day.
Right.
And you and Seth, we were doing the barbell or the barbell shoulder press.
Yep.
Right. And so I got to thinking as I'm watching you guys, and is it really a big deal? No. But I was watching you guys, and I was watching just your form and how you guys were going all the way up to a lockout position and then back down. Well, me, the way that I was trained and the way that I do that exercise, if I'm doing some sort of hypertrophy training and while I'm doing that, that's not the right way to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want a constant tension on the muscle, and you don't want to lock it out because it takes all the tension off that muscle and you actually engage other muscles, which defeats the purpose of what you're doing. So what made me think about that as I'm watching you guys is I don't think that a lot of people really understand the difference in these different training modalities and why you're doing it. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Like what you and Seth were doing was fine. Was it wrong? No. Because I think that the training modality that you have locked into your brain,
Strength
that you're
training.
using, correct. Like these different modalities, and I'm going to list these here in a second. And so I think that the way that you have it locked into your brain, you're like, okay, this is just, I'm just going to go it, and do it and go through the motion. Whereas if somebody was really hyper focused on hypertrophy training, that's the wrong way to do it.
Right.
So how do we explain this, and how do we go through a couple of these examples in the workouts that you're doing, the workouts that you're doing, the workouts that Yvonne are doing, and the workouts that I'm doing, and explain some of the differences and why that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm not really busting your balls. That's how I came up with this episode.
No, we came into your world this morning,
And-
like a little bit different than what we do on a daily basis. So
I've gotten a couple questions since this challenge started and since we started doing this. And I think I've gotten this one like 3 or 4 times is, can these different modalities, is basically what they're called, can they be intertwined? And the answer, I think, is yes, but as long as you understand how to do that.
Good point.
And that's why I want to do this podcast, because I think collectively, the 3 of us, can shed a little bit of light on why and why you need to be cognizant of how you're going to do that if you're going to do that.
good point.
So the definition of a modality is a simple method used to encourage a reaction. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Right.
You want a reaction out of whatever way, and you have a goal of whatever way that you're trying to train, right? And I don't ever like talking about scientific lingo when we talk about this shit. I like to keep it very simple so that somebody listening to us doesn't go, I have no idea what the fuck he just said.
Right.
I don't try to use lingo that nobody's going to understand. So I had a couple of them here, and this is what I listed. Athletic strength and conditioning. That's like you were a strength coach, a D1 strength coach for how long?
10 years.
So
And
that's-
that's what Scott's program.
And that's, yeah. So you and Scott kind of share in that world. I've never trained that way. I don't want to say never, and I'll talk about that in a second. But that's not how I learned how to work out. So I'm not used to that. The other one I think is CrossFit, functional fitness. So
Yep.
I'm not just specifically talking about these 4 pathways that we're using for We Change Lives. But people do CrossFit and functional fitness for a reason, right? They
Yep.
want to be stronger in everyday life and everyday situations. The other one is hypertrophy training. It's quite bodybuilding, building muscle, isolating muscle, tearing it down, recovering so it grows. And then the other one is endurance training, cardiovascular health. So all of those are intertwined somehow in one way or the other on these 4 pathways that we're using for the challenge. And so I think an ideal, well-balanced exercise routine includes 3 categories of exercise: cardiovascular activity, strength training, and flexibility.
Agreed.
Pretty simple. I think for the people that have asked these questions, can they be intertwined? Yes, they can. But how do they do that? How would you tell somebody to do that?
Well, I think yours and Scott's, in a sense, go hand in hand because they are pushing loads and moving volume and weight on a daily basis. So I don't think it's as easy to not necessarily, because you could alternate between doing your workout and doing Scott's workout, but it has to be a little bit more strategic because on a day where Scott has a heavy squat, you're not going to want to do your total body, like lower body workout. But
You're not going to want to do the volume.
Correct. So I think if you were going to do one of the strength programs, it would be pick yours or Scott's and then do a Vaughn or my cardiovascular program as the second. I think you're kind of counteracting is what I'm saying. If you were to do Scott's and Don's at the same time, or you'd be counteracting if you did a Vaughn's and Ben's at the same time. Whereas you could use mine or use a Vaughn's as a supplement to both of your programs from a cardiovascular standpoint. Because at the end of the day, a Vaughn's and my program are probably the shortest day-to-day like activity, like time under tension, like time. So that'd be my thought.
I'd say honestly, you could do it in a way where you mix Don and I's if you use the percentage basis that I use for increasing strength over time, because I don't have a lot of hypertrophy. Like that rep range is not really in my program for the most part. It's really just power movements and 3 to 5 rep range for a lot of the stuff. So what you could do is the percentage side where you use the squats, and then you could finish out with just his leg workout if you're trying to build muscle and you just want to incorporate those percentage-based compound movements.
Good point also. I agree. Yeah, like take the first quarter of your program on a daily basis and take the remainder of Don's program.
Right, yeah.
Kind of like accessory work.
Yep.
It's good terminology for that.
Yeah. Power building in a sense.
So I was getting ready to use that. If once we are done with this, that's typically on a day-to-day basis how I love to train.
Correct.
I always start out with one of those big movements, the core movements, either squat, dead, bench, overhead press, and then go through all of my percentages or whatever I'm doing that day, and then do 3 or 4 accessory workouts, movements after that, which is still totally different than the way that I trained for 12 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think it just comes down to whatever somebody's goals are.
Right.
I mean, I know that sounds very, very simplistic, and somebody listening to this is going to be like, well, no shit, Don. But, I mean, I think it does go a little bit further than that, and somebody who, I'm going to keep going back to those overhead presses. There's a time and a place to do an overhead press like that. You know what I mean? For an athlete who's training for speed and power, they're going to do that movement differently than somebody who is just trying to break down their front delt and make it grow.
Right. I 100% agree. And I think, like Yvonne's program would be really hard to do her program first and then do your program.
Correct.
Those two would be, and same thing, Yvonne's program followed by Scott's program, like the athletic program, would be really hard to do second after doing hers, because even though hers is a lot of body weight and like minimal weights, it's high tempo, high paced, high volume, constant tension. So if you try to do her workout before doing yours or Scott's, like you'd be smoked.
Well, let's get something straight right now. I definitely would not suggest doing 2 of these in the same day anyway. I mean, unless you're a savage. But I would also pay attention to, if you're, number one, in a perfect world, I would not do more than one of these throughout the week on a normal basis anyway. So what I had said earlier was, for example, if somebody is doing, if somebody's doing the program that I wrote, we call it strength training, but really it's hypertrophy training. It's building muscle, which is also burning fat. So I think that's why a lot of women are liking, the ones that understand that. That's why they like doing it.
Right.
But if you're doing that on a normal basis, and just say you've got a business trip, you got to go out of town for 3 or 4 days. Well, you're not obviously going to do that program from a Hampton Inn hotel gym.
Right.
So that's when you would say, okay, well, I'm going to jump over here, do 2 or 3 days of bench training, or whatever, whichever one fits, whatever you have access to. That's a good way to put that.
I agree. I think the other thing too, like we're coming up on the end of the month, and all of these programs were designed to have a little bit of a shift inside them from 1 month to the next. So if people feel like this training modality is a little bit stagnant to them, I would beg them to hold on, see what the second month looks like, because we've shifted them to kind of keep them fresh and keep them excited. So with the same goals in mind.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The only reason I would say not to do that is if they have an injury, if they've gotten hurt, or they've got something that's ailing them or has been ailing them over the last 4 weeks of doing one thing or the other one. I mean, I'm not going to go in the garage and swing kettlebells on Scott's workout. It's just not. I should. I need to.
Yep.
I was actually the other night when we were sitting in your living room, and who the hell were we watching? Pat McIntyre, and he was talking about the 4 zones. That's been in my head ever since I watched that, and I'm like,
you never move in the sagittal plane?
Correct.
What is that? Because I haven't heard of that. The 4 zones, if you remember.
So he was talking about moving front to back, side to side, pretty much at the end of the day, and he was saying his zones were different. His zones were strength, endurance. I can't remember. Flexibility. And the ability to kill, maybe, was his 4th zone.
What the hell it was basically what he was getting at was nobody ever trains moving side to side. It's either front to back, back to front,
up and down.
or up and down.
No lateral movements.
But they don't do any kind of I'm going to say twisting.
Rotation.
Rotation work and stuff like that. Which was, I'm thinking to myself, I trained the way I did for so long that my body is broke down. You know what I mean? I was bitching to you this morning about bicep tendons and shit like that.
Right.
Whereas I never got into any type of strength and conditioning type workouts until I met you and Kyle.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I ought to play with some of this, and it might make me feel good. And it actually did. I've talked about that on here multiple times. Until I started squatting and deadlifting on a consistent basis, my back was killing me all the fucking time.
Right.
All the time. Not to mention the cardiovascular stuff that I started throwing in because I wanted to be hybrid.
Yeah, more athletic.
Right. Which helped. I mean, I'm joking about it, but, it helped.
How's that Echo bike treating you?
The devil's tricycle.
The devil's tricycle. Yeah.
Well, luckily our house is under remodel, so I haven't had the privilege of using it in, 3 weeks now?
Probably.
So, trust me, it's still sitting there. It's just waiting for my fat ass to come back. But where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought.
You were just talking about how Pat was saying, kind of woke you,
broke
you into thinking, man, I need to move in multiple different planes.
Well, right, man. I'm
often.
42 years old, and I think there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this, and they're going to be in the same boat. They're going to be like, I got a ton of fucking ailments. My knees hurt. My back hurts. Everything hurts. Whereas I think that there's a little bit of stuff in each one of these that if they started to get consistent in training with it, you'll see some of those ailments go away.
Yeah.
And I need to practice what I just preached because I'm terrible. Obviously, I'm the program that I wrote and the program I'm trying to follow. When it's over, I'll go back to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I committed to this, and I'm going to finish it and see it through. And then I'll probably, to be quite honest with you, mix a little bit up of each one of them. And
so I don't think you've told this story to Scott maybe, but talk about how, I guess it wasn't last weekend, weekend before, when we were at the Soar Next Winter Strong event, after the start, and what your first task was in that challenge and then your knee popped. Talk about
Oh yeah, the squats.
I think I just saw the picture you uploaded.
That was after. It was after that.
After that,
more squats.
Oh yeah. So we started off. Did we ring a bell or something?
And then ran.
Rang a bell and took off running. And one of the first places was he's got an outdoor gym that's underneath a big tent, like one of those like event tents.
yeah,
That's like a permanent structure out there. They just keep it up, and they've got a bunch of Storenex equipment out there underneath of it and everything. Well, part of the challenge was for men it was 225.
Correct.
We had to do squat 225,
20
bench
times. Yeah.
20 times, and we're talking about a team. So we had a team of 6. So somehow, some way between the 6 of us, we had to squat 225
20 times.
20 times.
And we
But there was another thing.
Yeah, we had to deadlift 315 10 times and bench 135 30 times. So the 2 of the members of our team were like shooting and doing some organization. So Don got designated as one of the 2 people squatting because we figured that was going to be the most taxing. And I'll let him tell how that went down.
So I got me and Tyler
Yep.
decided we were going to split these squats up. And I was like, Tyler, you want to go first? You want me to go first? Thinking in my head, I'm like, please fucking go first. Please go fucking go first. He's like, no, man, you can go first. You can go first. I'm like, shit. So luckily the Theragun rep, like one of their big guys was there, and they had literally like 8 Theraguns sitting there for people to warm up with and use. And
nice.
me, I'm like Barry Bonds. I'm like out there stretching. I've like for what? Probably 35
Yeah,
to
you
40
were loose.
minutes.
You're ready to go.
And I was like feeling good. I'm like, I even had Coach Ivy pop my back.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's cold outside. It's raining, and I haven't warmed up, and I'm gonna have to go right over there and get under 225 and squat it pretty quick, in a hurry. And I was wearing I wasn't wearing workout clothes. I was wearing like a hybrid outdoor boot, some cargo pants, and a hoodie. Dude, he goes over there, he jumps on the bench, and he cracks out all the bench real quick. And he's like, dude, you got to start squatting. And I'm like, shit. So I went over there and got under the bar. And when the lady said go, I unracked it. First rep down, my knee just goes.
Loud enough for the whole team to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you can
like
hear
everybody's
it.
like, oh.
Was it warm up? Did you get warm up reps?
No,
before?
no.
It's
Right,
competition. It was-
right into
Yeah,
225.
right into 225. I think I did 8 of them. And
Yeah,
then
because I think
had
you were
to-
thinking about your knee the
Yeah.
whole time from rep number
And
one.
then I had to pass it to Tyler, and luckily he's a bigger dude than I am, and he banged out 12 of them.
Yeah.
But
But
then
we kept going. I mean, it was a mind and body shock. I mean, but it was like doing a little bit of your program and my program for the We Change Lives at the exact same time.
to be quite honest with you, man, I could work out like that every day. That was so fun.
Yeah.
Just to mix outdoor stuff with some sort of weightlifting intertwinement.
Yep.
That was fucking cool.
To be honest, if you want to really like break down that weekend and that kind of like cap off event, there was a little bit of Scott's program. There was kettlebells all over the place. There was up over the wall, being athletic. There was some of your program, squatting, benching, deadlifting. There was some of Yvonne's, up tempo, like, high rep push-ups quickly, right into pull-ups quickly, right into squats quickly, and then definitely a bunch of mine running all over the place. So, I mean, it was definitely
It was cool.
rude awakening.
I thought I hurt my knee, but I mean,
How did it feel after that?
it was sore for a couple of days when we like that night, the next day, and then the day we came back, that first day back home. Like it was sore, but it didn't hurt. Like obviously I didn't hurt it. I didn't pop a patella. Nothing popped or nothing broke.
So what kind of training modality, if somebody was to run, lift, shoot on a daily basis, what do you think it would fit more into?
Out of the 4 of us,
Yeah, and just kind of the ones that you were like listing out from the beginning.
man, I think it's all of them. To
Yeah.
be quite honest with you, that's why I think it's so intriguing to me. And I'm like, dude, if I had access to do that every day, I would train like that every day. You couldn't do it every day.
Right.
I don't think. I mean, you could if you're a fucking savage and you wanted to be an extreme individual. You could train like that every day. But you could do that like on a Monday, take Tuesday off rest, do it on Wednesday, do some sort of light cardio or whatever on Thursday, do it again on Friday, take the weekend off, you'd be in extreme shape doing that workout 3 days a week. I think Bert and Sornex Outdoors should brand it. I think they should come up with something and
make a massive jungle gyms.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. You gotta have the space for that too. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
You gotta have property and land, and you gotta have a setup for it. So.
I'm gonna do it out the farm. I'm gonna set it up so when I'm at the farm.
Oh, you should.
We could do it. I mean, we could do a beach version of that.
Yeah, but you can't leave it out there.
Oh, I'm just saying, like on a weekend.
Or when it gets warmer, we can start swimming.
Well, I gotta do that anyway because my stupid ass enrolled in a triathlon.
It's good
So
stuff.
hybrid.
I like swimming in the intercoastal. It's fun.
I'm going to be ripped by the end of the summer. By the time I'm in shape to go on that elk hunt.
I like it.
Because I'll finish up this. Straight into this, I got to start training for that triathlon, even though it's only a sprint, but I haven't swam in 2 years.
Yep.
So do a little bit of training for that. On top of the other training that I'll have to do to get ready to go out there to be used to hiking in the mountains. And then going on that trip, I should be in pretty good shape.
Anybody listening today, after the We Change Lives Challenge, Don Verity will be a full-time performance athlete.
Rucker.
We will no longer see him at the office. He will only be training to be a better human.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go to sleep listening to David Coggins and watch Cameron Haynes videos. And that'll be ridiculous.
Can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Well, how else can we add to this? Like, what can we? I don't know. My point in doing the episode and kind of going through this was for people to understand that there's going to be certain movements in all of these, but understanding why you do them a certain way in one training modality versus the other one.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like your overhead press this morning, was it wrong? No. Was it wrong for what workout we were doing? A little bit. Quick little fix, and it was fine.
Yep.
Somebody doing a squat or, what's another one?
My program has 25 bodyweight squats, whereas Scott's has 4 sets of 5 heavy loaded squats. So they're completely different. Scott's gonna be, taking a deep breath at the top of his squat, as opposed to mine and probably Yvonne's are gonna be just how fast can you do those 25?
Yeah, getting them in. Whereas if it was on mine, it would be slow, controlled, mind muscle connection.
Yeah, in between the two.
I think what you're saying is that there's not necessarily a wrong way to do it, but there's a more optimal way for what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
For sure.
That is exactly the way what I'm talking about. So yeah. Well, we can go ahead and end it there. I just wanted to touch on this for a minute, and I know that a lot of people listening to the podcast are doing the challenge, and I'm getting a ton of good questions. And so, our buddy Mike Feeder, we got to work on that deadlift. Mike, I know you're going to listen to this. He's going to be like, God damn it, call me out. We got to work on that deadlift,
We'll
kid.
appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, guys, if you need anything, if you have any questions on form in whatever program that you're following, reach out to me, reach out to Scott, reach out to Yvonne. That's what this program is about, is for education and teaching people this kind of stuff. So any questions, just do not hesitate to reach out to us. Till next time.